whenever a user performs a search query like Lite Linux-based operating systems. There are good chances that the user is looking for some Linux distro that can be installed and run on an old computer with limited hardware capabilities. Body Linux, the enlightened Linux distribution, is one such light Linux distribution that witnessed its first release in the year 2011. According to the Body Linux website, it can run on a just 500 MHz processor. Body Linux is an Ubuntu LTS-based lightweight release that features Mockshore Desktop. Mockshore is a continuation of Enlightenment 17 Desktop with additional features and lesser bugs. Mockshore doesn't come with any internal window compositor by default, but one can add compose effects. On the aesthetics front, Body Linux looks great and everything works just right. Thanks to Ubuntu repositories, you get access to tons of free software. The latest Body 5.0.0 release is based on Ubuntu 18.04 core and is the first major release from the project. The project offers 3 releases: Standard, Legacy, and App Pack. While Standard image should be the go-to option for many users, 32-bit hardware owners can choose Legacy. In case you're looking for a Linux distro with a cute name and special purpose, then check out Puppy Linux. One should note that Puppy Linux isn't based on some other distro. Instead, it can be built from packages of distros like Ubuntu and Slackware. The choice of your binaries determines the availability of additional packages. In simpler language, if you're comfortable with apt-get, go with Ubuntu version. The size of Puppy Linux is very less, somewhere around 300 megabytes. It's one of the smallest Linux distros on this list for 2019. So, dump all your worries about lesser storage space on your old PC in a corner. To reduce its size, it doesn't come with any popular pre-installed applications, but it's understandable. Just like many other Linux distros, you can also go for the live booting option using CD/DVD or USB. It boots itself entirely into the RAM on boot up, so it's pretty fast and responsive. The developers of this lightweight Linux distro call it grandpa-friendly certified, which means that it's very easy to use. Puppy Linux 7.5 is the latest release of the distro. As this small Linux distro is based on Ubuntu 16.04 SneakyLinux, it's called SneakyLinux. It comes both in 32-bit and 64-bit versions, and one can install them on UEFI and BIOS-enabled PCs. This operating system has been growing at a rapid pace in the recent past. If you're looking for a Linux distro that's equally lightweight, beginner-friendly, and good-looking, your search should end here. It's a great Ubuntu-based lightweight Linux OS that's based on LTS releases. It comes loaded with all the popular and useful applications. It means that with Linux Lite, you're in for an out-of-the-box functional Linux desktop experience. Linux Lite's menu might remind some people of Windows XP. The beginner-friendly and lightweight XFCE desktop environment make things easier. Overall, Linux Lite manages to do something that other popular Linux distributions struggle matching. Even after maintaining a lightweight stature, Linux Lite comes with all major tools and delivers uncompromised performance. It's also one of my personal favorite Linux distros. The latest release of this distro is Linux Lite 4.2. With this release, Redshift has been added to make sure that your screen temperature adjusts itself as per night and daytime. This minor, refined release is based on Ubuntu 18.04 LTS. If I had to choose a heavyweight among this list of lightest Linux distros that can work on older machines, I'd choose Ubuntu Mate. The latest release of Ubuntu Mate turned out to be the most important release of the distro, and it came with a transition to GTK 3+. Ubuntu Mate also gives you tons of layout options like Mutiny, Traditional, Cupertino, Redmond, Contemporary, Netbook, and Pantheon. It's my preferred Linux distro when it comes to Raspberry Pi. Raspbian is also a nice option, but I love the feed of Mate. Moreover, Ubuntu Mate also offers a polished Linux experience that would surely make the transition of any Windows user a pleasant experience. Very often we undermine the small Linux distros that don't use a lot of resources, but that's not the case here. Go ahead, give it a try. Any list of lightweight Linux distros for netbooks and older PCs is incomplete without the mention of Ubuntu. Many of you must be knowing that it's an official Ubuntu flavor. Due to this, Ubuntu and Ubuntu enjoy the same software and repositories. It's worth noting that starting from Ubuntu 18.10, the project has stopped releasing the support for 32-bit images. So, it could be a big no for those using older computers powered by 32-bit hardware. This fast and lightweight operating system for old desktops uses the minimal LXQT desktop and a fine selection of Lite applications. This switch from LXDE desktop to LXQT was made from Ubuntu 18.10. It's worth noting that LXQT is modern when compared to LXDE, and it was created as a result of a merger of LXDE and Razer Qt projects. It comes loaded with all the important software that you need. You get Mozilla Firefox web browser, PDF reader, CD burner, email client, MP3 player, word processor, MT Paint, and more. If you're familiar with Ubuntu and you are looking for a Linux distribution for an older PC and virtual machine, go for Ubuntu and you won't be disappointed. If you're an experienced user who loves to customize the system and make it personal, I'll recommend Arch Linux. Without a doubt, the desktop environment of your operating system makes it heavy or lightweight. As Arch is basically a no-nonsense Linux distro, it doesn't come loaded with lots of pre-installed packages. I would personally recommend you to try out a lightweight window manager like i3. Doing so will be more of a learning curve as compared to some desktop environment. You can also go for bare-bones open-box window manager. There's a saying that the fastest day is not having one at all. Just in case you're willing to convert Arch into a fast and lightweight Linux distribution with a desktop environment, you've got choices like GreatXFS and LXQT. One thing you should note before going for Arch Linux: make sure that your machine isn't based on 32-bit architecture, as Arch developers have stopped offering 32-bit images due to the decreasing popularity of the 32-bit platform. There's an option to got for the forked Arch Linux 32 option as well. LXLE is often called a lightweight powerhouse. Based on Ubuntu, LXLE uses LXDE desktop environment. It is designed with an aim to revive the old computers. This fast Linux distribution calls itself an eclectic respin of Ubuntu with its own support. LXLE sticks with Ubuntu LTS releases to ensure better hardware and software support. It's a strategy that makes sense when you're working with a legacy PC. Just like Ubuntu, LXLE comes with an excellent set of default applications for fulfilling your daily needs. It comes pre-installed with full-featured apps like LibreOffice, GIMP, Audacity, etc. It's also a great option to ditch old and insecure Windows XP and adopt a modern-looking intuitive desktop. Just like the most of the entries on this list of the best lightweight Linux distros, LXLE doesn't pose many challenges to a beginner. LXLE also comes with an app called UCare System, which can be used to update all the packages, install updates, get rid of older Linux kernels, and other important tasks. Overall, LXLE is a pleasant and lightweight operating system that's bound to impress. Even if you're installing it on a powerful hardware, you'll have little to complain. Peppermint OS has a unique quality that sets it apart from the other Linux distributions. It's a combination of a cloud-based infrastructure and the regular desktop applications for Linux. Apart from that, Peppermint is a fast and light operating system. Just like the other Linux distros mentioned in this list, this Ubuntu-based distro supports both 32-bit and 64-bit hardware. Being Ubuntu-based, it's able to get the advantage of Ubuntu's software repositories. Peppermint OS Linux distro combines minimal experience and good look. Wondering what desktop environment ships by default with Peppermint OS? It ships with LXDE, which is known for its fast and lightweight nature. Coming back to the hybrid of cloud infrastructure, it comes with custom-made ICE applications for many tasks. Instead of running local applications, one can work in site-specific browser. Antics Linux distro is known to be based on Debian and ships without systemd, which could be a deciding factor for some Linux enthusiasts. This lightweight Linux distro comes for both 32-bit and 64-bit hardware, which makes sense as it's focused on older computers. It comes in 4 different flavors: full, base, core, net. In this distro, you get the provision for 32-bit UEFI and 64-bit live bootloaders. Give it a try. There are many other fast and light Linux distros, but I've decided to end this roundup with Manjaro Linux XFCE edition. Wondering why? Apart from my personal liking for Manjaro, it's also one of the fastest growing Linux distros. Currently, it stands at number 1 at Distro Watch ranking. It also has the support of a large user community. The XFCE edition of this rolling release is also the flagship edition. So, it gets all the attention it deserves. Coupled with the power of an arch base, XFCE delivers a fast and lightweight experience. While it might not be as lightweight as compared to some other Linux distros mentioned in this list, it's surely going to turn out to be a great Linux desktop experience for you. Please note that recently Manjaro dropped the support for 32-bit architecture, so it could be deal breaker for many. However, you can try out the new Manjaro 32 project.